Hi folks, this is video number 103, and the title is Maintenance. I'm going to relate a funny experience involving one of my most admired managers. His first name was, and still is, Ron. He was short in stature, or in today's lingo, height challenged. I worked for him in a couple different positions. He was my team manager for a year or so, before moving into the maintenance manager position. He was a very good mechanical engineer. Back in my time, to get promoted, you had a randomly drawn written exam and a couple weeks later a verbal exam in front of 3 people. For a promotion to advanced mechanic, one of those people would be a maintenance manager. I requested Ron, as I knew he would be tough but fair. That's the kind of test I wanted, and that's what I got. It was funny. Jerry, being my coordinator, was one of the people charged with reviewing my written exam. I used a few words you don't normally hear on the production floor. He told me he learned something, as he had to look them up. Don't get me wrong, he was a smart guy. He just happened to hear a couple unfamiliar words, and was smart enough to look them up. As I mentioned, Jerry and I worked in a department we affectionately called the farm. We had 2 lines, the original prototype and an improved prototype. There was a third version called national lines. They were the ones that built in the plants in the U.S. For all of us from the farm to get promoted, we had to know all 3 versions. The national folks only one. That surely wasn't very fair, but it gave us a much larger background when it came to improvement ideas. When a new improvement came about, we usually had a handle on the mechanical principle arrangement before the rest. Because of that, we did a lot of development work until that part moved to headquarters in Ohio. After a while, I decided I wanted to go on a day shift loop assignment. It would be a 3-year assignment, then rotate back to the production floor. I became a maintenance planner in our department, along with a fellow named Gordon. I have a few tales involving the 2 of us, but this will end with one about Ron. On one maintenance day, there was a need to clean and repair the talc removal fan. We used a micro vacuum system to remove talc from part of the product prior to application. From my line, the dust was vacuumed away through large ductwork in the ceiling connected to the fan in the next room. Ron was now the maintenance manager. I don't remember if I was a day planner yet or not. Anyway, inspecting the ceiling-mounted ductwork was not in that day's work plan. Ron took it upon himself to get a hijacker and go up and open the access door. He had a little trouble opening the hatch handle and had to hit it a couple of times. He finally got it open. The ductwork was 2 feet wide and 3 feet tall. Ron took his flashlight and leaned inside the access opening. I was watching from the floor below. He leaned into the ductwork clear up to his waist. At that exact moment, they had finished inspecting the fan and turned it on. Ron, having knocked on the access door handle a few times, knocked loose a bunch of talc stuck to the side of the ductwork. I forgot to mention that we cleaned everything on the line with alcohol, so the talc in the ductwork was also a bit sticky. As I watched Ron lean into the opening, there was a large white puff of dust that came out and slowly fell to the floor. Ron backed out of the opening and stood up. He looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. He lowered the hijacker down and we went over to help him. He was completely covered from the top of his balding head to his belt with sticky talc, about a 1/2 inch thick. Even his eyelids were covered. He was surely a mess. We grabbed a bunch of paper towel and helped wipe him down. Fortunately, he didn't ingest any of the dust, but it sure was a memorable sight. And that concludes this story about some of the happenings on maintenance. All the best, folks. All the best.